A stranger walks toward you. And your dog, your sweet, gentle, perfectly behaved dog, does something that surprises you. Maybe they freeze completely. Maybe they press hard against your leg. Maybe, to your embarrassment, they rush forward and start licking the stranger's hand before you can even say hello. You probably smiled, or apologized, or pulled them back without a second thought. But here is what you did not know in that moment. Your dog was communicating something precise, something deeply psychological, something that most owners spend years living with but never truly understand. And sign number 6, the one we are saving for last, reveals something about your dog's inner world that will genuinely move you. Welcome to PLOS Chronicles. Today, we are decoding exactly what your dog is telling you every single time they encounter a stranger, backed by real science, real psychology, and the kind of insight that will completely change the way you read your dog in public. Stay until the end, because the final behavior we cover is one that most owners interpret entirely the wrong way, and understanding it could genuinely protect both you and your dog. You are out for a walk. Everything is relaxed. And then someone new appears on the path ahead, and your dog stops. Completely. Every muscle stilled, eyes locked forward, as if someone pressed pause on the world. You tug the lead gently and whisper, "It's okay, come on." But your dog does not move. Not yet. Most owners read this as shyness. Maybe a little fear. But animal behaviorist Ádám Miklósi, whose 2007 landmark work on dog cognition at the University of Budapest documented this behavior in detail, describes the freeze response as something far more active than it appears. Your dog is not shutting down. Your dog is processing. Rapidly. Scanning scent, reading posture, analyzing movement, running a full psychological evaluation of this stranger before committing to any response. Think about what that means. In the time it takes you to say, "Come on, it's fine," your dog has already gathered more information about that stranger's emotional state, stress level, and intent than you could consciously perceive in a minute of conversation. The freeze is not hesitation. It is intelligence. And what your dog decides to do next, after that freeze, is where the real communication begins. But before we get there, this next behavior is one that almost every dog does, and almost every owner gets completely wrong. A stranger reaches down to say hello. And your dog, instead of stepping forward, quietly slips behind you and peers out from behind your legs. Maybe you felt a flash of embarrassment. Maybe you said, "Sorry, he's a bit nervous." Maybe you even reached back and tried to push them forward toward the stranger. Please, if you do that, stop. In 1998, researchers Topol, Miklósi, Sanyi, and Doka published findings that reframed this behavior entirely. Drawing on John Bowlby's attachment theory, they demonstrated that dogs treat their owners as a secure base, exactly the way a toddler treats a trusted parent in an unfamiliar situation. When your dog retreats behind you in the presence of a stranger, they are not failing socially. They are doing something psychologically sophisticated, using you as a regulated safe haven while they continue to assess the situation on their own terms. Forcing them forward before they are ready does not teach confidence. It tells them that their secure base, you, cannot be trusted to hold the line. The most powerful thing you can do in that moment is simply stand still, stay calm, and let your dog decide when they are ready to approach. That patience is not weakness on your part. It is the deepest form of trust building there is. Now here is where it gets really fascinating, because this next behavior looks like the opposite of fear. But it carries a meaning most owners have never even considered. Now here is the behavior that every owner assumes is simply joy. Your dog sees a stranger and, without a second's hesitation, lunges forward, tail spinning, paws scrambling, desperate to close the distance as fast as possible. Friendly, right? Happy dog, happy life. Except the science asks us to slow down here and look a little more carefully. Research into canine arousal and social approach behavior distinguishes between two states that look almost identical from the outside. The first is genuine confident friendliness, a dog with solid social experience, relaxed body, soft eyes, a loose wiggly wag, approaching at a curve rather than a straight line. The second is what behaviorists call overarousal, a state of high-stress excitement where the dog is not actually calm enough to process the social interaction, and the rushing forward is less about friendliness and more about an urgent need to resolve the uncertainty as quickly as possible. Look at your dog's body in that moment. Are their eyes soft and relaxed? Or wide and slightly frantic? Is the wag loose or stiff and high? Is their mouth relaxed and open or tight? Your dog is not always telling you, I love this stranger. Sometimes they are telling you, I cannot manage the tension of not knowing, and I need this over now. Understanding the difference is one of the most important reading skills a dog owner can develop. But what we are about to cover next is something your dog does with strangers that carries one of the most profound messages in canine communication, and almost no one knows what it actually means. Your dog approaches a stranger. They sniff, carefully, methodically, taking in the full chemical biography of this new person. And then, after a moment, they do something almost no owner notices. They stop. They turn their head. And they look directly at you. It lasts only a second or two before they look away again. You probably thought nothing of it. But that glance was one of the most sophisticated acts of communication your dog is capable of. In 2012, researchers Merola, Prado-Provide, and Marshall Passini published a groundbreaking study in PLOS ONE on what they called social referencing in dogs, a behavior that, at the time of its documentation, had only ever been observed in human infants and great apes. What they found was that when dogs encounter an ambiguous situation, like a new person whose intentions are unclear, they turn to their owner and read their emotional expression to decide how to respond. Your dog is asking you a question. Is this person safe? And they are reading your face for the answer. If you are relaxed, smiling, and calm, your dog files that information and softens. If you are tense, holding your breath, or gripping the lead tighter, your dog reads that too. And they respond accordingly. You are not just your dog's owner in that moment. You are their emotional compass. The information on your face is more powerful than anything the stranger does. And this next sign? It is the one that most owners completely misread, and misreading it can actually make the situation far worse. A stranger leans toward your dog too fast. Too close. And your dog growls. A low, quiet, rumbling warning from somewhere deep in their chest. And you feel your stomach drop with embarrassment and alarm. You say no sharply. You pull them back. You apologize to the stranger and reassure them your dog has never done that before. And in doing so, you may have just made a very serious mistake. Turid Rugaas, in her 2008 work on canine vocalization, makes one of the most important distinctions in dog behavior, the difference between a warning growl and an aggressive growl. A warning growl, a low, steady sound with no forward movement, no snapping, no escalation, is your dog's most articulate, most controlled form of communication. It is your dog saying, I am uncomfortable. Please stop. I need more space. It is the opposite of mindless aggression. It is your dog choosing words over action. When you punish that growl, when you say no or correct the sound, you do not remove the discomfort. You only remove the warning. And a dog that has learned its warnings go unheard or get punished is a dog that skips the warning next time. This is how bite incidents happen, not from dangerous dogs, but from dogs whose communication was repeatedly silenced. The growl is not the problem. The growl is the gift. It is your dog trusting the system enough to ask before acting. Now here is the sign I promised you at the very beginning, the one that looks, on the surface, like confidence. But what it actually reveals about your dog's trust in you will stay with you long after this video ends. A stranger appears. They crouch down, make cooing sounds, offer their hand. And your dog glances at them once, briefly, and then turns back to you. Not frantically. Not nervously. Just calmly, deliberately, as if the stranger is simply not the most interesting thing in the immediate world. You might have laughed and said, sorry, she's not very friendly today. But your dog was not being unfriendly. Your dog was paying you the highest possible compliment. In 2004, researchers Gaxi, Miklósi, Varga, Topol, and Sanyi published findings on selective attention in dogs, specifically, how securely attached dogs respond to ambiguous social situations involving strangers. What they found was consistent and beautiful. Dogs with strong, trusting bonds to their owners preferentially orient back toward their owner rather than engaging with novelty or social pressure. The stranger becomes secondary. The relationship becomes primary. When your dog ignores a stranger and looks back at you, they are not antisocial. They are anchored. They are telling you, you are enough. You are the most important thing in this environment. You are where I choose to put my attention when the world offers me other options. That is not a dog who lacks confidence around strangers. That is a dog who has found something better, a bond so secure that no stranger, however enthusiastic, can compete with it. And that brings us to the moment I have been building toward since the very beginning of this video. Because there is one more layer to all of this, one truth about what your dog's behavior with strangers reveals that will completely reframe everything you just learned. Here is the thing that nobody tells you about your dog's behavior with strangers. All of it, the freezing, the hiding, the rushing forward, the glancing back at your face, the growl, the calm redirect of attention, every single one of those behaviors is not just about the stranger standing in front of your dog. It is about you. It is about what you have built. It is a live, walking, breathing report card on the relationship between the two of you. In 2012, researchers Beetz, Ovnesmoberg, Julius, and Kotterschel reviewed the profound body of oxytocin research surrounding the dog-human bond. What their work makes clear is this: a dog's capacity to navigate the social world, to be curious without being overwhelmed, to hold boundaries without being reactive, to seek comfort without being paralyzed, flows directly from the emotional security of its primary attachment, from you. A dog that freezes in assessment is a dog using its intelligence. A dog that hides behind you is a dog trusting its safe base. A dog that growls once and waits is a dog that still believes communication works. A dog that looks back at your face is a dog using you as its emotional compass. And a dog that ignores the stranger and turns back to you? That dog has found something with you that strangers simply cannot offer. None of these behaviors are problems to fix. They are dispatches from your dog's inner world, written in a language older than any word you have ever spoken to them. And the more you learn to read that language, the deeper the conversation becomes. You are not just raising a dog. You are being chosen, every single time they look back at your face in a world full of strangers. Every time your dog encounters a stranger, they are writing you a letter. In frozen stillness and quiet retreats, in rushed approaches and low warnings, in that single glance back at your face that lasts only a second, all of it is addressed to you. Now you can read it. Tell me in the comments, how does your dog behave with strangers? I want to know. If this video changed the way you see your dog, please subscribe, like and share it with someone who loves their dog the way you do. And if you want to go deeper, our next video reveals something extraordinary: what your dog actually feels in the first 10 seconds after you walk through the front door. See you there. Bye.